And he does that to 200 boyers.
It's sadistic.
That he impaled 200 boyers in his court in Targovice.
Vlad is like, call me Dracula.
Hello, I'm Tess Lynch, and tonight we're going to learn about the mother of Halloween, Mrs. Elizabeth Krebs.
Freaking me out.
You're freaking me out. In the early decades of the 20th century, Halloween was celebrated in a far different way. This was 1912 in Hiawatha, Kansas, and groups of kids would gather together, wear masks, and they would just like destroy shit. And they're like, oh shoot, an outhouse. What are we gonna do to that outhouse? Tip it the hell over, that's right. And then they would set it on fire and then they'd laugh. And then before you know it, the entire town is just like turned over outhouses, beheaded chickens, babies punched in the head. The kids, the hooligans are like, I'm a boy with a penis, I'm peeing in the hole. Devil's night, motherfucker.
That's scary.
It's terrible. It's just terrible. So on the morning of November 1st, 1912, day after Halloween, obviously, Elizabeth Krebs, founder of the Hiawatha Garden Club, wakes up, parts the curtains, and saw her garden was completely up. And she's like, this is insane. The heirloom roses, the asters, the like gourds. And she's like, what's wrong with these kids? What do they need? You know what I think they need? Is a party. Burn off that demonous energy. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Anyway, listen. October 31st, 1913. Elizabeth Krebs is like, I'm gonna have a decent sized party. Not a big party, who am I? The king of Rome? No. So she does it. And the neighborhood kids come. They're like, pretty cool party, Mrs. Krebs. Bob and Frapples, like, I'm MVP of Bob and Frapples. And then it just keeps going like ad nauseum on repeat until the end of the evening. So Elizabeth Krebs is like, I have a feeling this is really gonna work. I've exhausted this youthful population to the point where they can't do shit. This is awesome. So she goes to bed, wakes up the next morning, November 1st, 1913, parts the curtains, but everything's leveled again. And Elizabeth Krebs is like, no shit, are you kidding me? And look at that, a mail truck's on fire. Someone's waiting for a postcard that's never gonna arrive because that mail truck got lit the on fire. And she's like, I had this decent sized party. How could these kids even have it in them to take a piss on everything? But then Elizabeth Krebs is like, you know what? I got an idea. So she goes home and Elizabeth Krebs spends the entire next year planning for this party. And she devoted all of her own time and resources and money into making a huge rager. No, I spilled.
Happy Halloween.
And now look, for the whole rest of it, I dribbled, man. I dribbled. So it is October 31st, 1914. She's waiting at Town Square. And eventually, what's that? Kids in costumes trickling in to the Town Square, ready to rage. And she's like, thank God, because I knew this was gonna be a thing, and it was. So these kids, these hooligans, are at this party, and band comes in, starts playing. That's felt weak sauce. Is that weak sauce?
I love that song.
So anyway, the hooligans are like, hey man, I'm pretty shocked that old Mrs. Krebs is throwing like the coolest party I ever seen in Hiawatha, Kansas. And so everybody gets marched down to the Armstrong Opera House, and Elizabeth Krebs is like, yo, that's a long way, and those kids are gonna be tired by the time they get there. And they're actually really enjoying themselves. And they're like, man, this is my jam. This is Danny Boy's top of the charts. So the band keeps playing until these kids are like zombified. It's like Thriller. And Elizabeth Krebs is like, that's good. I like that. I like that. So she goes home, she goes to bed, wakes up next morning, November 1st, 1914. What does she see? How's her garden looking, Derek?
I'm not sure. I'm a little worried that it's gonna be destroyed.
No. She looks out and she's like, asters right there, heirloom roses right there, and gourds, boom. It's like all the shit is lined up. It's exactly as it should be. People are in awe of her. They're like, Elizabeth, nobody destroyed my house. Nobody broke my windows. Chief of police comes up. Thank you, Elizabeth Krebs. Thank you, because guess what? Vandalism reports way down precipitously. And actually, nobody was up to anything other than partying at your rager. She's like, damn straight. And he's like, we're gonna keep this tradition rolling pretty much forever. She's like, sounds good. So it changed the way we celebrate Halloween here and everywhere. That was all because one woman, Elizabeth Krebs, said Halloween is not about turning over outhouses to put poo on people's lawns. It is about dressing up really cute and getting a shit ton of candy. Booyah.
I just learned the scariest story in the whole world. It's not something for the squeamish. You guys for the squeamish? I'm Rich Fulcher, and today...
Oh, we know. We invited you on this trip.
Of course. But I'm Rich Fulcher, and today we're going to talk about the creation of Frankenstein. Yeah. I shit you not. It was 1816, which is over 2 years ago. Now, Mary Shelley was 18 years old, and she was traveling around with her stepsister?
Stepsister?
Stepsister. You know the story.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Claremont. And they were traveling around France, but they had another companion, Mary's lover, Percy Shelley, one of the premier poets
Wait,
of the
Percy
day.
Shelley? She was in
Percy.
love with someone that had her last name?
2 names.
Percy?
Shelley Percy?
Rich, her name is not Mary Shelley before she marries.
Duh!
Her name is Mary Wollstonecraft Godwin.
Good luck.
Dress
Nope, he
Granger.
is not gonna say.
Mary Gollanswell. Okay. Her name is Mary Gollanswagard.
Wollstonecraft Godwin.
Her name is Mary Wallengodstroff Godwin. And she is bizarre.
So one more time, Mary Wollstonecraft Godwin.
There's no fucking way.
I'll get it. I'm gonna get it.
Why don't you throw in some more consonants, Greg?
I will get it.
Okay.
I know.
We got it.
What was her name?
Okay. Her name is Wollongonstroff.
Mary.
Her name is Mary Wollstonecraft Godwin. Okay?
Gotcha.
Let me tell you about... No.
Is that the end?
But let me tell you about her. Mary Gollanswagard.
Don't try it again. You got it.
You're traveling around France. You're having a great time. Oh, there's bread. Oh, there's a peanut. I love this place. There were very free-flowing type of threesome there. So Claire said to the gang, wait. Hold up. Let's go to Lake Geneva. Lord Byron's there. Lord Byron, who is one of the premier poets of the day. And he fucked around. Should I say that?
You can say that.
Okay. He was one of those romantic poets who would say stuff like, I love you! So something like that. I'm not really a poet myself. Anyway, so Claire said, hey, all right, here's the deal. I slept with him, and I still want to have some sleeps with him. Come on, let's go back to Lord Byron. Let's go to Lake Geneva. And sure enough, she got them all to go to Lake. Are you okay? Okay. But here's the kicker. 1816, look it up, was the year without a summer. Mount Tambora blew every fucking shit out of people. The eruption of the volcano covered the whole earth and made the world be not hot. They were like, wow, I don't have a summer. I got a coat on. I'm fucked up with my non-summer apparel. Ugh. And Lord Byron said, let's hang out inside and fuck. It really happens. So listen, they're all having sex. And they're going, oh, which one are you? I'm Mary. And then Mary and Claire are having a good time. And then all of a sudden, Percy and Claire. And then Lord Byron and Mary and they're like a pretzel area. And don't forget, there is the personal physician of Lord Byron, John Polioro, something like that. He's sitting there eating a pickle. And they started to drink liquid opium, as one does. And they started to talk about philosophy and scary things. Lord Byron picked up this book and said, hey, look at this book I just found, in a Scottish accent. It's Phantasmagorium. It's a German book translated from France. It's a French book that translates German. It's some kind of translation book that has lots of ghosts.
Whoa.
Ooh, this is about a knight who gives his kids a kiss of death on the forehead. And you know what happened? They all died of rabies.
This is scary.
Yes, so, no, but here's the scary part. Percy freaked out so much at this story, he hallucinated that Mary had a demon head coming out of her nipples. Yeah, no, I shit you not. He was like, ah, demons on your areolas! Not tonight, please, no!
Of all nights.
And Lord Byron all of a sudden says, hey, I got it. Let's have a scary story competition. And whoever has the scariest one, well, wins. Now go forth and write this story.
I'm like slightly worried that you're possessed right now.
Well, that's for you to find out and me to decide.
Hey, Rich, remember when you used to like work as a bartender?
Yeah.
Do you mind making Kirby a drink?
No. Hey! I think this is good. Taste it.
Oh, that's tasty.
See? So let me tell you something. It was Percy, Lord Byron, Mary and Claire, and Lord Byron's personal physician. So they were all sitting around for the scary story competition. So first up goes Percy. His scary story is just like this poetic thing about his childhood. Climbing up a tree was so scary when I fell down on my knee. Something like that. He didn't really get it. He's an artist. He's like, I like to prance. And then Lord Byron told his story, and he goes, this one's about a vampire who was very posh, and he talks to you, and then he bites you. And so, you know, it was scary, but still, meh. So then they go, what about you, Mary? Mary is an aspiring writer, so she's like, I don't want to fuck this up because here are the two very famous writers, poets in Europe, and I don't want to tell a shitty story. So Mary goes, I'm going to write something good, so I don't have a story right now. But she was always listening to what Lord Byron and Percy were saying, because they would always have these really interesting conversations about the latest ideas. And one of the latest ideas was about galvanism, which is like when you apply alchemy and electricity to revive animals. And she thought to herself,
Oh my God, what the fuck? Oh my God. Okay,
What?
it's a rabbit, it's a rabbit.
It was
sorry.
just a rabbit.
It's a jackrabbit?
I'm a really startly
I
person.
see.
Anyway, sorry.
okay. That night, Mary falls asleep and has a terrible nightmare. She wakes up with a start and goes, oh, I have my story, you amazing puppet shits. And so Mary's like, yes, I finally have a story based on something I dreamed of last night. It's about a student at Ingolstadt University in Germany, and he's an alchemist and into electricity, and he's a nerd.
They know what nerds are back then?
He knows what nerds are. So Victor Frankenstein is his name. This man was obsessed with bringing people to life. So you know what he did? He went into the morgue and took body parts, arm, elbow, knee, nose, eyes, head, and put them together in his own special way.
Like a Mr. Potato Head.
Only it was a Mr. Humanoido head. He stitched them together with love and care and nerdiness. He was a nerd. He hooked up the electrodes to each bowel and testicle, and there it happened. The monster opened his eyes, blink, 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 and Victor Frankenstein looked at him and said, oh my God, I've done it! It's alive! Holy crap! He's alive! Finally, I can go home to my mom and say I've done something! Now give me some fucking pancakes!
I'm gonna piss myself. Oh my God. Why do they take so long? Boys are meant to be quicker than girls.
Hi.
Are you done peeing?
No, I'm still going. Is that bad? This is what's weird, is most people think Frankenstein is the monster. No! It's not the monster. It's the Victor Frankenstein is the creator of Frankenstein. I mean, you know,
What was the monster called?
Oh, yeah.
Taco, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So Victor Frankenstein looked down at his creation, and the monster looked up at him and said, Master? Creator? And Frankenstein thought to himself, he has white eyes and black lips and yellow skin and arteries bursting out of his skin. This is not the person I thought I would be creating. And he ran out of the room. Run, 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 run. And he hid in his bedroom. And he thought to himself, this is terrible what I've done. do I do? He laid down and went to sleep. And when he woke up, the monster was staring right down on his filthy fucking face! And so Frankenstein said,
Frankenstein?
Frankenstein, did I say that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's how scary it is. You don't want to say it the same twice. So what I'm trying to say is Victor Frankenstein freaked out so bad. No, please don't! Please, I want nothing to do with you! And the monster goes, listen to this, because this is scary. You need to create a companion for me, or I will kill your lover. Dr. Frankenstein made the bride, but then all of a sudden had second feelings about this because what if she became a freak? Well, what would he do? How much guilt would he feel? So he destroyed Frankenstein's bride and just fucked off. But sure enough, Frankenstein rushed into the bedroom and said, "What the fuck is going on? The monster killed the fiancé, wife, and there she was, dead." And the monster said, "You have destroyed my love life because you destroyed my sex bot." You know, like in that day, it would have been a sex bot.
Like a real doll.
Yeah, like a a doll. And he ran out of the room and was never to be seen again until later. And that is the story up to now. So Mary said, how did I do? I believe that I have done quite a scary story, have I not? Lord Byron and Shelley, after the story, were silent. And then all of a sudden, everybody was like, oh my God, I'm pissing out of my balls. This is so amazing. And Mary looked at them and said, really? Are you serial? Oh. And Percy said to Mary, you have got to write this down and sell it. And she goes, what? 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 What?
Hello, I'm Alan McLeod, and today we're going to tell the story of the curse of Giles Corey. Ooh. Our story begins in Salem, Massachusetts. The Puritans had just settled the colony, and they were very much into biblical law. So a bunch of girls started acting erratically, and a doctor checked them out, and he said, these girls are bewitched. And thus begin the Salem witch trials. So these witch trials start, and Martha and Giles Corey are just like eating popcorn and enjoying themselves, and they're going and they're excited about it, and they're like, oh, I love you, honey, we're at the witch trials, and isn't it fun that there might be witches among us? So the Puritans were not very scientific. You would have to like pee into a cup, and then they would like pour the pee into like a cake, and then a dog would have to eat the cake, and then if and the person who peed into the cake felt pain when the dog ate the cake, then that person was a witch. And Martha's like, that doesn't make any sense as far as like judging whether you're a witch or not. So Ann Putnam was like, you're a witch because you're criticizing us. And so Sheriff George Corwin came in and was like, if you're accused of being a witch, you're gonna get hung, and that's it. The trial is arbitrary. It's not really. Oh, excuse me.
What's that? What was that?
There's a little something coming up. It's all good.
Okay, good.
One of the Corey goes to trial, and Giles Corey was just swept up in the hysteria of the whole thing. He's like, well, our cat died, and that could be a sign of a witch. And also, my ox has been having some issues. So she could be a witch. I mean, I don't know, but she could be a witch. Well, then Martha goes to jail. And Giles is like, I've been caught up in the whole mania of the Salem witch trials, and I need to relax and come to my senses. And now that I've come to my senses, I realize my wife's not a witch. And I was telling tales out of school, and everybody's like, so wait a second, you're doubting us or you're questioning us? Like, that means you're a witch. And then Giles is like, oh. These fucking hiccups, dude.
Don't worry about it.
All right, okay. And so Sheriff Corwin comes in. He says, all right, well, it's time for me to torture you, baby. And my choice of torture is peine de forte. Oh, peine Will Forte. God damn it. Pierre de Totova. So Giles Corey was given the sentence of peine forte et dure. And that basically meant we're going to put this board on you, and then we're going to put a bunch of rocks on top of you and crush you until you plead guilty or not guilty. So they start putting rocks on him and start pressing on him. Wait, we'll crush you the right way.
Oh, no. That's an ironing board.
What?
That's not what they had. That's not what they had, Alan.
Okay. Oh, man. It hurts?
Yes, it hurts. Your body on top of a body.
Okay, anyway. And the sheriff is like, I'm crushing you. You're a witch.
I'm not a witch. Are you kissing me? Alan.
Anyway, all that Giles says to them, more weight. I can take it. More weight. Oh, is that the biggest, heaviest rock you got? More weight. Oh. So for 2 days, Giles Corey is being crushed there. And it got so bad that Giles Corey's eyes were bulging out of his head and his tongue was just outside of his mouth. Sheriff Corwin has to come over there and put them back in with the tip of his cane. And he's like, hey, why don't you confess to being a witch? Giles is like, you can kill me now, but I promise I curse you. I curse you, Sheriff Corwin. I curse you, Sheriff Corwin. Curse you, Salem. I have the hiccups, but I curse you because I'm being crushed. And you'll understand this later. Sorry. Bye. Giles Corey's death was so gruesome that it led to the end of the Salem witch trials. And then 4 years later, Sheriff Corwin died of a heart attack. Obviously, they can't trace it back to, the curse, but we all know it's the curse. So in 1978, Sheriff Robert Cahill had a heart attack and was like, I should do some research on this curse that was put on us by Giles. And he found that every sheriff in Salem had a heart attack or a stroke. He's like, oh shit, that curse was real. That was a real ass curse. So they moved the sheriff's department out of Salem. This is one of the untold stories of the, Salem witch trials.
Can I press you real quick?
I could die. Ah!
How's that feel? Whoa.
I'm paralyzed.
Hello. I'm Greg Sokolescu, and today we're going to talk about Vlad the Impaler, the real man behind Dracula.
So it's 1447, and Vlad III from Wallachia is a political prisoner in the Ottoman Empire. Vlad is like, I want to go back to my dad. I'm a prince. I'm an heir to the throne. And Radu, Vlad's brother, is like, I kind of like it here. I really like the Sultan's son, Mehmed II. Mehmed's like, I like you too. And then out of nowhere, this boyar shows up, this nobleman, and he's breathless. And he's like, Vlad, I have bad news. Your father is dead. His daddy was killed by rival boyars. And Vlad is like, I'd like to avenge my father's death, please. Can you please release me? And they're like, okay. But Radu's gonna stay here if that's cool. And Radu's like, yeah, I love it here. So he rides to Wallachia, kicks down the door, and he's like, you ain't gonna take away our freedoms.
Oh, watch that head.
Anyway, he's like, sweet, I'm pretty much Prince of Wallachia. Let's have a party! And he invites all of these boyars. He's like, guys, let's bury the hatchet. I know you killed my father. That's fine. You don't worry, but don't worry about it. You killed my dad. That's okay. So the boyars are like, we'll do whatever you feel like is good. And they like drink and have a great time. And then they're gonna leave and they're like, great, thank you so much, Vlad. We had such a great time. We're gonna head out. And Vlad's like, yeah. Shut the doors. All the boys are like, wait, what? So Vlad's like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take a stake that's like sharpened almost to a point, kind of not to a point, a little rounded, and I'm gonna shove it up your butthole. And then I'm gonna like go in your esophagus, and I'm gonna stick it out your mouth. I'm going to impale you.
And he does that to 200 boyars.
It's sadistic.
Then he impaled 200 boyars in his court in Targovice.
Vlad is like, call me Dracula. So he's like going around doing this to everybody. He's like, you look like you're an adulterer. You look like you're lazy. You look like you're a thief. I'm gonna impale all of you. And he impales. And he burns the whole town to the ground. And there's a German monk there, and he's like, oh my God, he's dipping his bread in the blood of his victims, and he's eating it. That's a vampire. He instills order in Wallachia. So Mehmed is like, your brother wants to be called Dracula. And brother's like, Dracula? That just means like son of Dracul, which we both are. That's lame. And Mehmed's like, we should definitely attack Vlad because Vlad's being a super dick. So Mehmed crosses into Wallachia with these like 60,000 troops, and Dracula is like, I get it, I'm outnumbered. So I'm gonna retreat, but what I want you guys to do, my colonels and lieutenants and generals and shit, I want you to burn everything. And they're like, all right, but we're like up our own land. And he's like, yes, destroy Wallachia. So they do it, and they up everything. Halloween, boo. Halloween, baby. Ooh. So anyway, when Mehmed comes through, they come upon a site that makes his soldiers stop in their tracks. And it is a section half a mile wide and 2 miles long of over 20,000 Turkish soldiers and prisoners that have been impaled. And Mehmed sees it and he's like, Jesus, I don't even believe in Jesus. Holy moly, Allah, holy Muhammad. It's like a forest of the impaled. And he's like, you know what, guys? Let's turn around. And they just turned around and left. So Vlad has won. He's like, ha! Yay! He was arguably the most sadistic ruler that ever lived. But then Radu's like, hold on a second. People of Wallachia, Vlad is sucks. He's like a piece of shit, right? So like, why don't you support me? I'm a good guy. And they kick Vlad Dracula out of Wallachia. And Vlad's like, so fast forward 12 years, Vlad is like fighting some like border skirmish or something. And then this Turkish assassin like shoots him with an arrow and he goes to Vlad and then he kills him and chops off his head. And he takes the head back to Mehmed. And Mehmed is like, cool, I'm gonna put it on a stake because he loved to impale people. And Vlad's like, whatever, I don't even feel this. I'm already dead. Joke's on you guys. My head's on the stake. Look at my face, people! Look at my face, mother. Oh my God, I'm spinning really badly. So 400 years later, Bram Stoker was like, oh, this is interesting, this like legend of vampires. Maybe I can write a story about this. And it became one of the biggest horror classics ever.
And still is.
Yeah, I mean, like, think about who doesn't know who Dracula is? Everybody knows Dracula. Everybody knows that vampire
There's
story.
cereal named after him.
Yeah, right? Count Chocula. Not Count Dracula,
You're
Count
right.
Chocula. It's not Count Dracula. Because there's chocolate sugar pieces in